Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Kevin Cook, and this is my blog presentation. Let me start sharing my screen. Go to. Sorry about that. All right, let's get started. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to my class on observational units and variables based on Alan Rossman's Repeat After Me blog. Okay, so read over these big ideas for the presentation here. So, the main concepts addressed in this class will be to help you deduce the observational units and variables found in a sample. And Alan Rossman has found a way to teach these ideas very efficiently by repeating only 3 questions. We'll now go over these questions that Alan Rossman proves to be so important. The first question being, what are the observational units and variables in a study? The second question is going to be, what types of variables are they, categorical or numerical? As well as, what are the roles of the variables being in the study? What is the explanatory variable and what is the response variable? Throughout the presentation, we'll be discussing the importance of these 3 questions and hopefully learn a little more about why they're so important. So, what do these questions in particular have that make them so important, you might ask? Well, they're building a good foundation for you to know how to analyze your data set as efficiently as possible. Sometimes you're going to have to decide whether you want to use a bar chart or histogram, and knowing how to identify the variables and observational units is a great start to that decision. A lot of students get confused on what analysis to perform on a data set, and building that foundation continues to make it easier and easier for students to deduce the correct statistics to calculate within a study. Okay, let's talk about what an observational unit even is. So an observational unit is the object, person, or group of things that you are taking measurements on in an experiment. Let's say I took a survey in this class to find out how many of you are from California. The observational unit in this situation would be each and every one of you. This may appear to be an easy concept to understand at first, but you see more complex examples. But as you see more complex examples, it is not uncommon to incorrectly identify your observational unit. As stated previously, this is the first thing you would want to do in your analysis. And starting your problem off wrong is a good way to lead yourself into performing the wrong statistical analysis in your examples. Okay, so after identifying your observational units, you must correctly identify your variables. A variable is going to be any characteristic, number, or quantity being measured in your data. Every variable is going to be a categorical variable or a numerical variable. A categorical variable being a physical attribute or characteristic like a color, and a numerical variable being a quantitative characteristic like an age. When there's more than one variable in a problem, they may interact with one another. This will lead us to our third question of figuring out which is the explanatory variable and which is the response variable in our study. The explanatory variable will be the variable acting on the other one, normally predicting the value based on each observation. Okay, so now I'm going to show you an example and give you some time to quickly read through it. So hopefully you've had enough time to read through this example. If you didn't, just get kind of like a general idea of what Rossman addresses early on in his courses. But putting the students in the shoes of the observational unit here unconsciously makes one think about what an observational unit can be. And then the example continues to build your foundation of what your variables are in your study, once again being either numerical or categorical, with yourself being the observational unit. He then continues to build the foundation with this next part of the example. I'll give you a little bit to read this slide too. Okay, so Rossman is continuing to build this foundation stronger and stronger as he makes the students go through a bunch of different scenarios and statistical statements. In this situation in particular, if we were to consider the classes at the school to be the observational units, then we could legitimately consider these to be variables. This is because the quantities would vary from class to class instead of from student to student, making these statistical statements summaries rather than variables themselves. Then he continues on to finish off the example, and I'll give you a second to read this too. And he's actually putting in the idea of a research question, which is foreshadowing for other examples in the future. So this research question is not a variable. The statement involves two variables, one being either being left-handed or right-handed, and the number of Harry Potter books read, and as well as concludes a summary of those variables with the average in the research question itself. This gives the students a better idea of everything that has to do with an observational unit and the variables that are going to be conducted in an experiment. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit more time just to read these last things that are the final just like ideas behind the whole presentation here, and Alan Rossman's repeat after me article. So as the entire term goes on, Rossman says, is that continuously repeating those three questions on assignments and tests and any homework examples or anything will help the students to be prepared for any example they may face in the future. It'll allow them to conduct the right statistical inferences on any problem, and it will give them a good foundation to go into the future of their statistical analysis. Using relevant data sets as well as context throughout the course makes it easier for students to relate. Putting the students in the shoes of the observational unit will allow them to continue to make comparisons between observational unit and studies as they go through their statistical courses. I'd like to thank Alan Rossman for this repeat after me article, and thank you all for listening to me in this presentation. Hopefully you have a good day.